All right, guys, so this is kind of awesome. I love it whenever one of us slips through the cracks and gets on mainstream media. I love it because it's so rare that it ever happens. You know, like I was on Fox News like maybe twice, never got an invite from CNN, never got an invite from MSNBC. I mean, they avoid us like the plague. And, you know, I think that's kind of intentional. But one of our own slipped through the cracks, got on CNN. By the way, I'm very curious to see if they keep having her on. But of course, I'm talking here about Emma Vigeland. She was on the, the CNN Roundtable talk show. I don't even know the name of it, but Abby Phillips hosts it. And this was glorious. So she made a fool out of a bunch of MAGA warmongers and idiots. And I got some great clips for you here. So let's start with this one. First, they're going to talk about Venezuela, and she does a number on this goofball that's trying to hold his own with her. Let's get it.
The consequences that you're talking about are incredibly dire. But I also just want to step back for a second and look at the justifications that they're even using. They're saying that these are narco-terrorists, et cetera. And that's the Republican line. But then Trump comes out and goes, it's for the oil. I mean, like when we did our illegal invasion of Iraq and killed hundreds of thousands of people there, at least the Bush administration had like the humility to pretend and go to the United Nations and say, oh, we're going to do this through the regular channels. I mean, this brazen, bully, illegal administration doesn't even go through that pretense. And I think that should scare everybody because their foreign policy is might makes right, and that's all that matters.
How refreshing is it that now somebody's on CNN before the all-out war, which they have planned, by the way, saying it up front, oh, this is definitely about the oil. 100%. There's like no two ways about it. It's very clear. In fact, they blurt it out half the time. They're not even bothering to lie to us anymore. They're so high on their own supply that they realize there's like zero consequences. So they're not even bothering to dot their I's and cross their T's and make a propaganda case. It's just about the oil. They're openly imperialistic. That's what it is. They're just trying to steal the oil. They're trying to, put in a puppet government. They're trying to, hook up U.S. corporations. They're trying to give Eric Prince the ability to illegally occupy another country like he did in the Middle East during the peak of the war on terror. By the way, on that alone, it makes me go, I don't know if they're going to have her back. On that alone, you're flying a little too close to the sun there by telling the truth, Emma. All right, let's get the reaction.
Foreign policy is might makes right, and that's all that matters.
So I'm not scared. I don't think any American is scared about the consequences of this.
I care about the world, not just Americans.
No, I know, but you're also, in this instance, caring about a narco-terrorist group. And
oh, my God. It's not even fair. It's honestly not even fair. I mean, they get like 70 IQ morons to do this panel. And I love how CNN's obsession with balance leads to this inevitable conclusion that you just have like the dumbest people on the earth trying to rebut factually correct statements, right? Oh, you care about narco-terrorists. There is zero evidence that these people are narco-terrorists. Zero. They have presented none. In fact, some of the evidence they originally presented, turns out it was a picture from 2009. They had to go back and pull a picture from 2009 of like a helicopter picture of a boat that was doing drug running, right? They were spreading that as if it proved their case. No, it was total BS. And the reason why they couldn't use a recent picture is because there isn't one, and because they're blowing up fishermen on a regular basis. Most of them are fishermen, the people that they're killing. Narco-terrorists. Guys, I don't even know what that means. What does that mean? Narco-terrorists? No, somebody could be a drug smuggler, so a narcotic smuggler. They're trying to bring drugs into this country. It's like a for-profit business. It's a black market. That's what it is. A narco-terrorist. What does that mean? You're going to do like a suicide bombing in the name of cocaine? That's not a thing. Like, it's not a thing. For the love of God, people need to use their brains for like 2 seconds. Narco-terrorists. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's a made-up term. It's a made-up term because Stephen Miller and Donald Trump are trying to skirt the fact that they need approval for war from Congress. That's what they're trying to do. And so if they just say, oh no, these are terrorists, even though they're allegedly some of them are drug dealers. No, but if we say they're terrorists, then we already have the authorization for use of military force from the early 2000s from the war on terror. Because now we're saying, oh yeah, drug smugglers are akin to Al-Qaeda or ISIS. That's the bullshit fake legal argument they're making in order to not have Congress approve their stupid war. That's what's going on here.
A narco-terrorist group and government.
No evidence provided.
There's been no evidence showing that they're not actually drug.
Oh my God. Oh my God, bro. My like 16-year-old new atheist debate bro brain just kicked in. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You can't prove a negative, you dipshit. And by the way, look at Emma's face. She's about to call him out on that exactly. Look at her face. Ready?
There's been no evidence showing that they're not actually drug boats that are being sent here.
That's not how this works.
We do know as
She's so disgusted with it. She's like, what did you just say? There's no evidence that they're not So we need to default to what the Emperor, Overlord, God King, Donald Trump asserts? So the default is that what he's saying is true and we need to prove otherwise? Literally flipping on its head the idea of innocent until proven guilty. The most anti-American, unenlightened position. It's like literally against the Constitution and due process and the whole concept of rights. And he just casually said it as if he was making a good point.
we do know, as a matter of fact, that this is a country that very clearly does engage in narco-terrorism and is a hub for sending to this country cocaine primarily, meth, which is the second lead.
These are all lies. These are just total lies. Less than 5% of drugs that come into this country come from Venezuela. Less than 5%. So even their cover story doesn't make sense.
Meth, which is the second leading cause of drug overdose deaths, at least where I'm from.
Okay, I don't know who this guy is, but he needs to retire. He needs to retire. I mean, this is pathetic. This is pathetic. This is embarrassing. All right, I got more for you. So here is where you have Emma Vigeland drop a bomb on this guy's head, no pun intended, by pointing out the logical flaw in his argument that if you're Mr. I'm tough on drugs, bro. The drug dealers are terrorists, bro. Listen to what she throws in his face here. Watch.
So the average person, if you have a deep dive conversation about the legal aspects here, they're going to roll their eyes. That's just the reality. It might be important, and it is important. But they roll their eyes because they know who the target is.
The Sacklers are...
Donald Trump is putting you in a position
where
you are now defending drug dealers. Whether or not that's your intent, that's how it comes off.
Do you think that the Sacklers...
By the way, let me just, before Emma chimes in here, this reminds me of, by the way, you're now defending Saddam Hussein because you don't want to do war with Iraq and regime change in Iraq. That's what he sounds like.
Dealers. Whether or not that's your intent, that's how it comes off.
Do you think that the Sacklers should be executed in the town square?
I don't think this is the town square, and I don't think that this is a declaration
what
of
does it
war.
I mean,
as we've heard specifically tonight, this was an empty facility, no deaths, and I would assume that this was leaked to CNN with this information that came from the CIA, that if it wasn't actually a drug distribution center, a port, probably would have come out too.
But we killed dozens of people already under this pretense, so do you defend
We killed dozens of people who were on drug boats, bringing drugs to this country to kill Americans.
Did the Sacklers help kill Americans with the opioid epidemic, yes or no?
So that is a completely separate issue. But
How is it separate?
Oh, he can't even engage because he knows she's right. He can't even engage honestly because he knows she's right. So he's got to sidestep it. He's got a red herring because there's no way out of this.
Completely separate issue. But
How is it separate? Should they be executed in the town square without any legal process? And that's what you're saying.
Who's next on the drug cartel here?
I don't know why.
Do we go to China as well? Do we go to other countries as well? How far are we going to go on this? How hard and how long?
We should do things in the best interest of the American people, which to him means extrajudicial murder of innocent fishermen in the Caribbean, from Trinidad and Tobago and Colombia and Venezuela, where we literally talk to the family members of the people who were murked. That's best interest. I mean, people like this, I got to bite my tongue because I'm about to go too far.
And how long? Can they continue going without Congress getting involved?
That is a fair point.
So this guy is, what a bloodthirsty, disgusting psychopath sitting there in his suit advocating for extrajudicial murder. And he was caught speeding. He was caught speeding because, okay, look, if you want to apply your dumbass principle across the board, then shouldn't first in line to be executed extrajudicially be the Sackler family? Because they gave us the opioid epidemic, which led to God knows how many deaths that led to, right? Way more than some fisherman in the Caribbean who's not even involved in drugs. So just absolutely gross stuff. All right, but now let's get some more here. So they also start talking about economics at one point, and here they start talking about a billionaire tax. And what follows is glorious.
To pay for
the privilege. It's a bad argument.
A billionaire. The privilege of living in a state that facilitates their ability to become.
But you're admitting it's arbitrary, which was exactly my argument previously. I just want to say, I'm sorry.
Why do we pick arbitrary people that we hate?
But no, it's not. It's about the level of wealth that they have concentrated.
How much is too much?
Excuse me, I'm going to finish my point now.
What's the number?
What is important?
Definitely a fucking $1 billion. Nobody should have $1 billion. Let me repeat that. Nobody should have $1 billion. Nobody should have a net worth of $1 billion or more. Why? Because extreme wealth, by its very nature, undermines democracy, undermines sovereignty and independence of a government that's supposed to be of, by, and for the people. That's why. Because effectively what you're saying is we're now laying the conditions to have a shadow government which overrides the will of the people. And if you defend extreme wealth concentration, that's what you're defending, and you need to own that. You need to say, I am pro-oligarchy, I am anti-democracy. That's what you need to say. Because what we actually have now is a shadow government, a transnational shadow government of billionaire criminals and their lackeys. And guys like this dipshit would defend it.
What is important to point out is that when this country was growing, and it was the greatest period of growth, the top marginal tax rate was 90%. The equivalent of $4 million, every dollar that you made over $4 million was taxed at a 90% rate prior to the era of neoliberalism, and then eventually Ronald Reagan slashing taxes and leading to this explosion of income and wealth inequality. And California already did this with Prop 30. I think it was in 2012 or 2011. They raised the top marginal tax rates on millionaires. And you know what happened? The number of millionaires in California... No, let me finish. The number of millionaires increased in California.
My goodness. I think the smuggest man in politics has to resign. I think he's got to step aside. This was brutal. This is brutal. This is like, you got nothing, bro. You got nothing. Look, this is what happens when you let, like, educated, intelligent lefties on TV. This is what happens. She happens to know shit. She happens to, like, be filled in on all of the relevant details. Not, she's not like this guy, an empty suit with a smug face, regurgitating MAGA talking points to please Donald Trump. And so he's running into a brick wall of information and logic and facts. And it is not going well for him, man. It is not going well.
Of millionaires increased in California. So there's nothing to this capital flight. They've done this analysis.
I'm against the fact that we don't have more rich.
What is the number that makes you too rich?
Well, like I just said, all wealth over $1 billion should be taxed at 100%. That would be my answer to that question. We can draw a nice clean line. You max out at $999,999,999. You should get a fucking like plaque sent you in the mail that says, congratulations, you won at capitalism. And you know what? Nobody's going to shed a tear for the motherfucker worth $999 million. Nobody's going to shed a tear. That's all right. You know what? I'm probably too conservative on this question. I got people in my audience who would respond to me, and they're probably correct, by the way, when they say, Kyle, nobody should even have that much wealth. Call me a moderate on this issue, you smug bitch.
It's not my, that's not for me to decide. I want to raise taxes on the wealthy in percentages. The top 1%. The top 1%.
It's when you look at the problems in your...
And also, he can't grapple with, he keeps going back to that question, he can't grapple that what she's talking about is taxing income. When you talk about a top marginal rate of 90%, like we used to have, that's income, and it's income over $4 million per year. That's also, like, every civilized society is built on the back of a progressive income tax, which means high marginal tax rates. The countries that self-report being the happiest, that have the best quality of life, that have the best institutions that function well, it's built on the back of very high marginal tax rates and a progressive tax system. And these idiots never can contend with that fact because they either don't know that or don't care about that because they support billionaires in principle. This guy sucks up to the exact people who are ruining this country and ruining the world, by the way. It's the billionaires. They're the problem. They're the main problem. It's the billionaires and the warmongers and the fascists, and he defends all three of them and fits into some of those camps himself. But I'm still not done because then they start talking about Israel. And yet again, as I watch this, I go, damn, she's doing a great job, but they might not let her back on.
I think that is the big selling point on this.
Yes, and I do think that the kind of elephant in the room here is the United States completely losing, and the Biden administration is immensely complicit in this as well. Moral standing throughout the world due to our complicity in the genocide in Gaza, which has made it very difficult for us to speak to Ukrainian sovereignty.
Look at his smug face. I swear to God, it's like he wakes up in the morning and practices in the mirror being the smuggest person on planet Earth. Who does this appeal to? I get there's like other right-wing dipshits in the elite pundit class who look at him and they're like, ha, yes, you made it even more smug face today, sir. We love it. Yes. But everybody else looks at you like the least relatable man on the planet. So they're talking here about Russia and Ukraine, and the point that Emma's making is we lost all moral authority because, like, for us to, berate Russia over what they're doing here, which, we should do, but it doesn't pack a punch because we're arming and funding and backing a genocide that Israel is doing in Gaza. So now for us to cry crocodile tears about, sovereignty of a country is like, are you kidding me? You have to be kidding. we can't support a violation of sovereignty on the one hand, and on the other hand say, we're against this and we're going to stand up for that. It's like, it's just so, it's hollow. It's so hollow and vapid.
Speak to Ukrainian sovereignty and having a bully like the Russian government invading their sovereign territory. We had a doctor on our show who spoke about how the death toll is in the hundreds of thousands at this point, because the numbers that are currently being reported are only the numbers of the death toll of people who have been counted in the hospital. There are hundreds of thousands of people presumed dead, suffocating to death, crushed to death under rubble because of United States bombs. And that's across this administration and Trump here, who did get this ceasefire that he touts all the time in October. But when you look at the actual numbers here, Israel has violated it hundreds of times since that period, multiple times a day, killed at least 400 Palestinians during that period. And this will go down as one of the worst crimes in the history of humanity that our government, the Biden administration and the Trump administration, are complicit in.
Thank you. Thank you. I was screaming from day one of that ceasefire, this is a fake ceasefire. Just like the one in Lebanon that Israel violates on a daily basis. Israel's idea of a ceasefire is, say it with me, you cease, we fire. That's what it is. And so now you finally have somebody on CNN going, this is fake. This is fake. They're still bulldozing Palestinian buildings. They're killing innocent Palestinians. Why are we pretending that this is real? In fact, it's so nefarious. Trump wanted to do the optics and the theater of a ceasefire to then divert international attention away from Israel so that they can continue to finish the genocide and the ethnic cleansing. That was the goal. That was the plan.
The Biden administration and the Trump administration are complicit in it.
Does it go down? We have to debate this.
Yeah, we don't have time.
We
don't have time for the anti-Israel propaganda.
We don't have time
for the anti-Israel propaganda.
We don't have time to debate it.
They're called facts, not anti-Israel propaganda. Okay, still not done though. We got one more. Here we go. This is where Smuggy McSmuggington replies.
Period. And this will go down as one of the worst crimes in the history of humanity that our government, the Biden administration and the Trump administration, are complicit in.
Does it go down? We have to debate this.
Yeah, we don't have time.
We don't have time for the anti-Israel propaganda.
Okay, ready? You guys ready? How much you want to bet? The reply involves but Hamas. How much you want to bet? The reply is basically but Hamas.
We have time for the anti-Israel propaganda.
Did you say Hamas was wrong at any point during this conversation?
We already got one. Put a little Hamas counter in the bottom corner. We already got one mention.
That's fine.
Listen, we know that there's plenty of disagreement on that issue.
I never said that.
We let it on spool for 2 minutes, but sure. I mean, honestly.
Okay, have a quick word.
I don't understand. Israel's our ally. Not a single word in your speech for the atrocities that were committed on October the 7th.
We should cut off arms tomorrow.
Not a single word for the idea that Israel has every right to defend itself. Not a single word for the fact that Hamas right now...
Two. I would even count October 7th as part of the group of Hamas. Here we go.
...is killing people inside of God, their own people. You seem to lay it all at the feet of Israel, a democratic ally in your own country, and you have no negative word for the terrorists who rape and murder and kidnap. Zero.
That's Israeli human rights.
That's another reference to Hamas. So basically, 3 or 4 is what we're at in what was it? Literally less than a minute. So in other words, the whole response was but Hamas. What Emma was bringing up was, look, we're committing a genocide. We're committing a genocide. The U.S. is arming and funding Israel. They're committing a genocide. You have, according to a doctor that was on the Majority Report, hundreds of thousands of people who are actually dead, innocent people. They bomb schools, hospitals, UN buildings, World Central Kitchen workers. You go down the list. They've starved people. They've sniped kids in the face. His reaction to that is, but Hamas is bad. We're literally not even talking about Hamas. There's 30 to 40,000 Hamas members total. There were 2.3 million people in Gaza. And they said we're going to do a total siege, cut off all the food, fuel, water, and electricity. So in other words, do collective punishment and blame everybody for the crimes of Hamas. And now, by the way, what do they say the official numbers are of Palestinians remaining in Gaza? 1.5 million. You do the math on that. We're talking about, 800,000 people? 800,000 that have been killed? By their own numbers, not mine. That's what Trump and Netanyahu say, we got to move 1.5 million people. Well, if there were 2.3 million, and now you're saying there's 1.5 million, you do the math on that. But the smuggest man on the planet wants to defend committing hundreds or thousands of October 7ths in the other direction because Hamas bad. So because Hamas is bad, we're going to copy their tactics, except do it worse and do it more often and kill more people. And you got to shut up about it because when we do it, we're good. We're the good guys. So this is what I'm talking about. I mean, And by the way, like the fake outrage. Look at the way this guy talks. It is the fakest outrage I think I've ever seen.
Shouldn't be.
That were committed on October the 7th.
We should cut off arms tomorrow.
Not a single word for the idea that Israel has every right to defend itself. Not a single word for the fact that Hamas right now is killing people inside of God, their own people. You seem to lay it all at the feet of Israel.
That's a lie, by the way. Who Hamas was killing was literal ISIS gangsters who were being paid by Israel to steal the food to keep them from Palestinian civilians. That's who was killed. It just shows, like, he doesn't actually know anything. There's been detailed reporting on this from Dropsite News, like these ISIS gangs that are paid by Israel to, like, loot and steal and pillage, and then Israel turns around and blames it on Hamas. Like, he doesn't know the first thing, or if he does know it, he's just lying about it. But I actually think he doesn't know anything about this. He just goes with the AIPAC line. He just goes with what his fucking handlers tell him to say.
A democratic ally in your own country, and you have no negative word for the terrorists who rape and murder and kidnap. Zero.
No negative word for the terror. Yeah. Emma Vigeland, a pro-terrorist, is like, see, this is how ridiculous these people are and just how much they can't respond substantively. So now the allegation is Emma Vigeland supports terrorism. Like, who's going to believe that? Who's going to... Yeah, the young blonde lady who hosts a YouTube show, she really is out there fucking in her spare time, recruiting for ISIS. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Israeli human rights group says they're committing genocide.
Guys,
you still don't.
We gotta go.
Did I do good, Zionist lobbyists who pay me money? Did I do good? No, you didn't, actually. That was actually kind of embarrassing. That was humiliating. And this is all they got. All they got is fake outrage. And by the way, he's berating her. You didn't say anything about October 7th and about Hamas. Meanwhile, she said a bunch of stuff about the genocide. He didn't say anything about the genocide. There was no acknowledgement that it is a genocide. There was no word for any of the children who were murdered. There was no word for the hundreds of thousands of people killed. There was no word for the fact that Gaza basically doesn't even exist anymore. Like, it's gone. It's just all rubble. There's no word for any of that. So by his own standard, he also fucking fails. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But amazing job there from Emma Vigeland. Look, dealing with these people, I don't know, man. I don't have it in me, I don't think, to be as nice. As I get older, I get more mean. I have zero patience for any of this, right? My fuse is short. I probably end up being an asshole. Like, God bless her for pulling this off and doing such a great job. But, for me, whoo, buddy, I don't know if I'd be able to control myself in some of these situations because I'm so done. I'm so done with this fake bullshit from these mainstream pundits who all say the same thing. It's all so boring, so dumb. Like, oh, what a shock. The conservative on CNN supports Israel despite the genocide? Oh, like it's enough already. It's enough. But anyway, I hope they let her back on because she absolutely freaked it. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.